For joining me. Today I'll be going over a game played in 2016 by Garry Kasparov versus Nakamura. And in this game actually, Kasparov beat Nakamura. And it was a game that I decided to choose to show because it was just a very attacking game from both players, mostly Kasparov, which is why I definitely want to show it. So the game starts with e4 by Kasparov, and the response is e5, a move that I don't like so much. I would much prefer the Sicilian. If you don't know what that is, then I'll link it right now in the top right of your screen, and you can press it. It'll also be in the description, so you can go and watch and learn how to use a Sicilian. It's a very strong against e4, but e5 is a pretty good defensive move nonetheless. Obviously targeting that e5 pawn with f3, very common, and protecting it with c6, also bringing out the knight. And now, again, like I was saying, it's a very attacking game. Going for a trade early on that Nakamura decides to accept. I mean, there isn't much he could do. Other options were maybe protecting maybe protecting this pawn with another thing, but it was just much better for Nakamura to take the trade. And so the game continues. As you can see, this knight is kind of the center of attention right now. Two pieces for both teams protecting the knight, and against the knight. Three rather, sorry. And so it's a very, usually in a game you do have this one kind of important piece where both sides are trying to gain control over. Now here, they decide, by they I mean Nakamura obviously decides to move his knight to e5, losing now control over this knight because he didn't have much other options to go for this knight. Moving the knight here to try to aim at it obviously would be detrimental. Now I'm going to play a little bit and stop right here. Development-wise, I just want to point out that development-wise, it's a very even game. However, Kasparov does have more areas to move, I guess. These knights, they control far regions, but Kasparov has two bishops that are currently in use, and a queen that doubles up on this bishop, and also the queen is above these two rooks, which means that a double lift can happen here, where they attack it with two pieces. So currently, I think Kasparov is slightly ahead. They both only have one pawn, which is pretty interesting that the game has been going for quite some time, but there still is only one pawn. Another interesting thing to note is if you look at this knight, from here, where I told you it's the center of attention, from here, it stayed this whole time. And that is what tends to happen with the center of attention. Just as I say that, the knight moves out. Now seeing a purpose for the knight. Obviously now discovering this attack on this bishop. Nakamura decides to take this, and the game continues. Like I said, the knight is back where it was for a long time, with this pawn pushing it back, but it's going to have to relocate one more time. And in here you have a few options. You can move to b3, e2, or even f5 doesn't look too bad, attacking the queen. Everything else would put the knight under attack. And Kasparov decides to go with e2. Like I said, this wasn't a terrible move right here. You could cause some attacks with it. Maybe and just having a knight here is pretty good for positional control. But I mean, this is a very defensive kind of move, which it's pretty unlike Kasparov, especially in this game, to play defensive. So he could have been under time pressure, and maybe that's why he played this move. But nonetheless, it's a very protective move for this knight, which isn't always bad. Sometimes, if you wanna move a knight from a very dangerous spot, you sometimes want to just kind of relief it over to a very safe spot. Trade. And here, there's both pawns just kind of waiting for the other person to do the move. You can see that in the start of the game, the first maybe 10, 15 moves, even 20 moves, not a lot of trades happened, and these last 5, maybe 10 moves, quite a lot of trades been going, which tends to happen when two very good players play, because in the start all they're worried about is positional and kind of maintaining a control over the board. Once again, many trades. Here, protecting with the knight instead of the queen, so not going for a trade there. Check, he has to move here. Check, he has to move here. Check again. And he doesn't want more checks. He doesn't want to tie for sure in this scenario, Kasparov. He's looking quite well in terms of everything. They're tied in material, but Kasparov has a nice structure here, hard to defeat, and these 3 pawns are well, looking ahead at 2, so that's quite good. The game continues very generically again. Nakamura trying to encourage a trade of anything, really. He wants to simplify things as much as possible. And here, Kasparov decides to initiate a trade. Very interesting that he held back earlier. Maybe he now realizes that with another pawn gone, he now has another 2 pawns gone actually. He now has a way to go over on this king side and get some queens. So he wants to take the queens out. Actually, quite impressive is that when I saw this position, I immediately thought take with the pawn, obviously, but much better move is indeed just forking the king and the queen and taking with the knight, because this formation right here is very strong. It kind of defeats the purpose of these 3 pawns. If this pawn was here, then now this pawn has 3 air blocks before getting a queen right there. And here, Nakamura resigns. You can see that knights, even though they can be very good endgame, they won't serve much purpose. These 3 pawns are protected by each other, and these 3 by this king here. So this knight won't do much, and it will be checkmate very soon for Nakamura, unfortunately for him, which means that he decided to resign, and that's how the game ended. It was a very good game, and like I said, very aggressive, but one of the best moves I think I've seen is that. I mean, it's something that from a distance I couldn't see it. Even from this, even after they ate, I immediately thought pawn take, but obviously not wanting to ruin the structure of the pawns, which is the main lesson here. You want to make sure whenever you're aiming at anything, you want to always make sure that you're eating it or you're getting there with the best way, and that's the main reason for this That's the main lesson you can learn here. Thank you guys for watching. Once again, I will show you the Sicilian defense, which is that first defense that Nakamura did not play. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Make sure you guys subscribe if you did, like the video, and I will see you all later.